somewhere beneath an ocean, a strand of glass stops carrying light. At a landing station, an alarm appears. One of the routes carrying data between continents is gone. For the people using that network, though, almost nothing seems to change. A message still arrives, a payment still clears. The video keeps playing. Submarine cables fail surprisingly often, roughly 150 to 200 faults in a typical year. Most never become news, which makes the failure itself less interesting than what happens around it. A cable disappears. The internet usually doesn't. The wireless part of the internet is usually the part closest to us. Your phone talks to a router or cell tower through the air. After that, the signal enters fiber, under streets, between cities, and eventually, when it needs to cross an ocean, out through a cable landing station. Most international and intercontinental data still makes that crossing through submarine fiber. And in deep water, the cable carrying it can be roughly the thickness of a garden hose. Closer to shore, it gets heavier, more armor, sometimes burial beneath the seabed. Because the most dangerous part of the ocean is often the part closest to people. Fishing gear can catch it, anchors can drag across it. The cable may spend thousands of kilometers untouched in deep water, only to become vulnerable again as it approaches land. Most submarine cable faults are caused by ordinary maritime activity. Fishing gear catches something it was never meant to catch. A ship drops anchor. The anchor drags. A cable designed to operate for decades can be damaged by a piece of steel moving across the seabed. Fishing and anchors account for the large majority of recorded faults. So network planners do not build these systems on the assumption that every cable will stay intact. They know some of them won't. That changes the problem. If one route disappears, the network needs somewhere else to send the traffic. Ideally, that alternative was arranged long before anyone knew which cable would fail. Someone paid for extra capacity. Someone chose another route. Someone decided that keeping unused room available was worth the cost. A broken cable is not automatically an internet outage. It is a loss of one path. When that path disappears, traffic can move. Not all of it in exactly the same way, and not through one magical backup switch. There can be spare capacity on another submarine system. Different circuits may already exist. Networks can shift traffic toward another carrier or another path between the same destinations. From the user's side, those decisions are mostly invisible. Inside a network operations center, they are not. There are alarms. Routes change. Engineers watch capacity that was comfortable a few minutes earlier begin carrying traffic it was not carrying before. The network still works because there was somewhere for that traffic to go. And that is easy to overlook when everything is functioning normally. Redundancy is spare capacity before it is needed. You pay for some of the network you hope not to use. Then one day, you need it. Look at a cable map, and the idea seems simple. One line fails, use another. Except the second line might already be busy. If it has little spare capacity, moving more traffic onto it can create congestion instead of resilience. And there is another problem that is harder to see on a network diagram. Two routes can look completely separate while crossing the same patch of seabed. Different owners, different landing points, different names. Still close enough to be exposed to the same underwater landslide, anchor drag, or other regional event. On a network diagram, they are separate. On the ocean floor, they may be neighbors. So counting cables is not enough. A place can have many connections and still have a shared physical weakness. Another place may have only a few, but those few may take genuinely different paths. The map starts to matter in a different way. In March 2024, several submarine cable systems off West Africa were damaged within the same regional event. 4 major systems were affected. Connectivity slowed or disappeared across parts of 13 countries. The exact physical cause remains uncertain. A submarine landslide has been discussed as one possibility, but the useful part of this event is what happened to the network. Several routes that normally provided alternatives were no longer available at the same time. Operators could still move traffic where surviving capacity existed, but there was less of it. And countries with fewer international paths had fewer places to send anything at all. For years, redundancy had made individual cable faults look routine. Now, several pieces of that redundancy had disappeared together. One cable failure is often a routing problem. Several correlated failures can become a capacity problem. Tonga shows the same mechanism from the other direction. In 2022, the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai eruption damaged the submarine connection linking the island nation to the wider internet. A highly connected country may lose one cable and quietly shift traffic elsewhere. Tonga had far fewer options. Suddenly, infrastructure that most people rarely thought about became very visible. International communication became difficult. Services that depended on reliable connectivity were disrupted. Satellite links helped provide some communications while the cable was unavailable. And that is where satellites are genuinely useful. They can reach isolated places quickly. They work where terrestrial infrastructure does not exist or where it has just been damaged. But providing emergency connectivity to an island is different from carrying the sustained traffic normally handled by fiber between major markets. The same cable failure can therefore mean almost nothing in one place and weeks of disruption in another. It depends on what was built around it beforehand. There is another part of redundancy that is decided long before anything breaks. Someone has to build the alternate route. For decades, that usually meant telecom companies and large international consortia. Today, some of the biggest users of international bandwidth are also helping finance the cables themselves. Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon participate in submarine cable projects in different ways, through consortium stakes, fiber capacity, and in some cases direct ownership. That does not mean they own most of the world's cables, but content and cloud providers now account for roughly 3/4 of used international bandwidth. They need enormous, predictable connections between data centers and cloud regions. So increasingly, they have a reason to put money directly into the physical routes underneath that traffic. And those choices last. A route approved today may become the spare capacity another network depends on years from now. Which means part of what happens during the next cable failure is being decided before the cable is even laid. But an alternate route only solves the immediate problem. The broken cable is still broken. Traffic may be moving around it, but the network now has less room than it had before. If another failure happens, there is one less option available. So the cable has to come back. Engineers on shore can send a test pulse down the fiber and measure what comes back from the damaged end. That helps narrow down where along the route the fault lies. After that, software can only do so much. Then the problem leaves the network diagram. A ship has to go there. That ship may have to travel hundreds or thousands of kilometers before any repair begins. Weather matters. Permits matter. Whether a suitable vessel is available matters. Eventually, the crew reaches the fault area. Now something extremely modern starts to look surprisingly old-fashioned. In some repairs, a heavy grapnel is lowered and dragged across the seabed until it catches the cable. The cable is brought toward the surface. On deck, technicians work their way through the protective layers until they reach the glass inside. The damaged section is removed. A replacement length is joined in. The fibers are spliced. The connection is tested. Then the cable goes back over the side. There is something slightly absurd about the scale of it. The system may be carrying cloud traffic, financial transactions, video calls, and data center workloads between continents. The repair can still involve a crew on a ship trying to recover a cable from several kilometers below them. A global data route can end with a steel hook moving through mud. And when that route comes back online, the network has not merely recovered capacity, it has recovered an option. The next cable failure once again has somewhere else to go. Most people will never see any of this. They will not see the operator watching capacity move onto another route. They will not see the planner who decided years earlier that a second route was worth paying for. They will not see the landing station, the repair vessel, or the technicians exposing glass fiber on a moving ship. Usually, they see the result. The message arrives, the payment clears, the video keeps playing. That apparent reliability comes from something much less elegant than an invulnerable network. Cables break. Other routes absorb the traffic. Geography decides whether those routes are truly separate. And eventually, people have to put the missing path back. The cable is the visible infrastructure. What keeps disappearing from view is everything built around its failure. The internet is resilient because its physical network is allowed to fail.